Hello, and welcome to Season 2 of Super Pros Bros. I'm Player 1 Ike, and with me, as always, is...
Player 2, Eli, and Han Brolo. You know this podcast is available on YouTube, SoundCloud, and Spotify.
I did not, Bro Jogan. Are those the same places they could
Like,
comment
share.
and subscribe?
It sure is, Mr. Japlish. So, Bojer. How did you didn't say that right, or how you wrote it.
I know, I was trying to fuck with you. And it worked, a little
Bro
bit.
joking? Is that what you fucking said?
Yeah. It's what I said that one episode where I just died laughing the whole time.
Get some help.
I actually have been. I
Ah.
recently got a new therapist.
Oh.
I have seen them twice. I saw them on the 2nd and the 19th. We skipped the 26th. But he is amazing. So, Whirlwind Tour. I went to therapy for a long time. Had a great therapist back when I lived in Santa Rosa. Had him for like a year and a half, and then he quit the agency. Got one that was very clinical and, yes, which is not my jam.
Oh.
And then I kind of stopped therapy for a minute, and then I got back on the therapy train when I was in college at Monterey. I have never met a monotone, more dry person in my life, and I tried to make it work, and it was mildly helpful, but a lot of it was just garbage. It was just like me driving an hour to talk at a wall and get nothing back, which that was fun.
Mm.
When I moved back here and got insurance through my first job at a casino, went through, I think, actually like 6 therapists. And each time I found what I liked, I'm not kidding, they lasted like a month. And then they like cycled out to a different org. And I couldn't use them anymore. It was starting to give me like abandonment issues. It was like causing more problems than it was helping. So stopped that. Recently tried to get back into it. And I'm a little proud at my first experience because it wasn't good, but instead of being like a fucking beaten dog, I left. So like literally, and these are all like over the phone, or not over the phone, over like webcam and stuff.
Yeah.
And the first one I have is this old lady, which fine, but it's harder for me to relate because it gives like grandma vibes, and our grandma is no longer with us. Rest in peace, Kathleen. And just like I never really had that kind of connection with like older women, and so it's kind of like a bridge too far. So not off to a great start, but I'm gonna try for it. And then she's like not looking at the camera, checking her phone, looking around, doesn't know who I am, like on like as you fill out like a previs sheet so that they like know a bit about you. And literally within 3 minutes I was like, you know what, I'm sorry, it's a little bit early and I apologize for this, but I'm not feeling comfortable, I need to leave. Which for me is a big step. I usually just, the way we were raised, and again, no shade towards our folks or anything like that, it's just the way the world was, especially at the time, was to kind of soldier on through adversity. Life's not going to be perfect, make the best of it. And so that has been my experience, especially when I went through like a bunch of therapists, a year or so ago, was, try to change when you can, but by and large, try to tough it out for a couple sessions at least, even though when it's going to be bad. And this one, I just like 3 minutes in, I was like, nah, it's not. I really don't like people checking their phones during therapy. Like especially the therapist, just like, I'm like, am I important? Like, do I matter? What the fuck? And I was like, yeah, like, sorry, I know it's early, but this isn't working. I need to leave. And I still felt bad about it a while later, but her next response really solidified that was a good decision. She's like, it's only been like 3 minutes though. And like, kind of like got annoyed and like kind of had a laugh at me. I'm like, you're my therapist and that's your response, not, hey, do what you need to do, it's okay, or what did I do wrong, or not that. It was like this kind of ire and not frivolity, but kind of like point and laugh, and I was like, yeah, fuck you. But this next one I got, the time is better anyway. But it's been a minute, and I think part of it was me having like bad ones, but I'm like actively giddy. I'm like excited to see my therapist. It's kind of like, and don't read too much into this, but it's kind of like when you first start dating someone and you're like clicking in that honeymoon period. I am like jazzed. I am elated with my interactions in the relationship so far, and just the way it's working out. I think it's like a really awesome and good fit. So super fucking dope. Also, in on the self betterment train, I started working out on the daily for all of like 18 minutes. But I started working out.
Man,
I'm literally
progress
doing
is
like
strong.
I'm doing a plank for like 10 seconds, like 5 leg lifts, and I'm speed walking around the block for 18 minutes. It's so I'm proud of myself and I'm not taking that away, but it's so funny that I have these like double talk moments where I look at like what I'm doing and like, shit like that. It's so fucking funny. I'm like, yeah, you're doing it. And then I look at myself, I'm like, dude, you're walking around the block 3 times. I'm like, shut up, we're doing it. And it's like I have the two voices in my head just like
Yeah. No, I mean, like, the one thing I have to keep reminding myself, it's like incremental progress adds up quick. Like
yeah.
if you just don't fuck with it and you just let it do its thing, it adds up. Like,
Like the reason I got into this workout regimen as small as it is, and I think it is a good like step in the right direction because I couldn't get other ones to work, and I've done this one every single day except today when I'm gonna take a day off for like a little bit of rest. Is that I saw this thing. There was a post that's if you do something for 18 minutes a day every day, you do it for 100 hours a year. It's like the ballpark breakdown. It's like,
hmm.
and I think 100 hours is some theoretical regimen of like what mastery is like requires. And I was like, that's doable. What can I do for 18 minutes? Like, oh, I can work out for 18 minutes. So that's what I'm trying to do this. And then I'm playing a shit ton of Magic because Worlds. Well, one, I'm playing a shit ton of Magic because one of my favorite
It's
formats
just
is online
the
right now.
harshness of that transition. It's just
Well, we're talking about Master in 18 minutes. I don't know. It's just the other thing that's on my Dockerino on my to do list is just playing
the
gobs of
juxtaposition
Magic.
from workout, exercise, so proud of myself, fuck
Hey,
tons of magic.
I that's what I'm gonna be doing it for is to get good, homie. I'm going to Vegas for those of you that aren't aware, although I think I've talked about it. I'm going to Vegas probably after this episode comes out, I think sadly. But because we do record these in advance. But I am going to Vegas the 22nd or I'm playing in a tournament the 22nd through the 24th where first place is $100,000. So it's working out. I'm working my magic brain muscles out.
All right, all right. There is some cashola on the line.
Just a lot.
Just a pretty penny.
What about you? What you got going on in your big
I
blue
am
ball?
no longer fucking having to do a class on weekends. Thank the
Woo!
Lord.
Just have to go take a test.
I have to go. I have to fucking. I have to make the dumbest application ever, and then do take a test once they say I can do it. I have to. I have to basically submit a treatise that's like I have 3 years of experience or more, within the last 8 years of facilitating or managing projects in some way, which I find ironic because it's like I'm doing this to get a project manager certification. It's like, but hold up, you want me to have multiple years of this prior to applying to take the test to make it official? Who the fuck writes this policy? Like, it's just I can't get a job because I can't have experience, and I can't get experience because I can't get a job. Like, it feels like that fucking dumb feedback loop,
Yeah, yeah.
just formalized in a dumb,
How am I
expensive
supposed to get
process.
some experience if no one will take a
Yeah,
risk on me?
exactly. It's like no fucking wonder people hate trying to get into the workforce in this day and age. But I'm avoiding that rabbit hole right now. Um, but yeah, so for the last 2 weekends, I have been doing 8 hour period fucking classes. Oh, it's dry. Oh, mama llama, it's dry.
Mama llama, sorry.
It is dry, burnt toast dry. And it has given me appreciation for how fast I can do math in my head. Because like Artemis and our mom will tell like, yeah, she's like, yeah, you do math quick. And I'm like, no, I don't, because I compare myself to you, because you can like count cards and shit. I'm like, I don't do math in my head all that quick, and then I did this, and then I'm like, wow.
I think it's like a lot of the card playing that we grew up doing,
I
and
think that
like
helps.
We
for
both played
sure.
Magic. You've played like a lot of games that require like multiplicative calculations to
Well,
determine
like
like
here's what here. Let me give you my quick
okay,
example.
yep,
All
yep, yep.
right, all right. So we had this little test prep question. It's like, okay, you've got a $200,000 budget, um, and a 6 month time frame. And so at 3 months in, you've spent $120,000, but you're only 40% done, right?
Okay.
So it's like, so basically it's like, oh, so your projected end total is going to be 300,000. You're 50% over budget. You're behind on time. Like, and I just, easy to just quick do basic multiplication, divisions, create fractions, create percentages, etc.
Yeah.
5 minutes. 5 minutes to fucking relay this information and extract it out of the other people in the class.
Jesus.
Yeah, no, it's just like it
That
hurt my
wouldn't that wouldn't
soul.
fly that would not fly in any class I would substitute teach for. Like we would have been done 2-3 minutes ago.
Yeah, it's just like,
With a problem like that's basic
yeah, like it's
basic
just like,
division and multiplication.
yeah, it's just like what's hard about this, folks? What the fuck's happening here?
Especially when that's your career.
Yeah. Like, what
Like
is it
this
you
is
say you do here? The other one that fucking got me was seeing a slide about emotional intelligence. I fucking lost my mind. I just seeing an analytical breakdown of what constitutes emotional intelligence. I'm like, listen, you either fucking get it or you don't, and this is not making the difference. Like, it's just talking about Myers-Briggs too, and I'm like, I don't have the heart to tell you that this is nonsense.
sad thing is so many people don't realize that. I think it's just starting to come around, but like I graduated from college a couple years ago, 2-3 years ago, and when I first went back to JC in like 2017,
Uh,
that was being taught at a college, and that was a good junior college. People like literally would travel around the world to go to that junior college. It's actually that good,
uh,
and like that was like being taught in a class by somebody who was not only a professor but also was a counselor at the university.
the I said something and it made me really happy. One of my best off the cuff comments. It's like if I
Mm,
can define your personality with four fucking abbreviations, like an acronym of 4 letters,
you're
you
a
are
piece
as
of toast.
interesting as a bread sandwich.
Like, I mean, that shouldn't be as much of an indictment as it is, but just something about the phoneticism of it is just juice. Bread sandwich. It's so great.
Yeah, I was pretty proud of that one.
That
Thank you.
was that was a yeah, that was a good one. Write that one down. That was a banger. Uh it's interesting as a bread sandwich.
So yeah, so I gotta create some nonsense about how I helped lead and develop projects. That's gonna be fun. That's gonna be
Nothing like writing a fluff
that.
piece, am I right?
I'd say that is gonna be fluffed and bullshit to the extreme.
Cotton
God bless.
candy.
God bless. Oh yeah, that's pure cotton candy. With a side of manure. And then put in the application, and then I can take a test. I will probably take the test when I come back from Germany, and it'll be good.
Oh, you're gonna wait that long, okay.
Yeah, because it's gonna take like a week to clear probably.
Oh, okay, yeah. You don't want to take it like right before you leave.
No.
Yeah.
So I'll probably just wait, come back. So my hope is to come back and like the following weekend. I'll take it. I'll like
Nice.
yeah, or take a day
And
off work and go
then
do it because
you can
it's like a 3.5 hour
secretly.
test or something.
Oh,
Yeah,
mama.
it's pretty long.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 140 questions, and you get like 3 hours to take it or something.
Okay. Nice, nice. Yeah, and then you get to sneakily and surreptitiously saunter off to a different workforce, hopefully.
That is the idea.
Well, while we're using all those S's, perhaps we should talk about our subject at hand today.
About scrutinizing or shutting the fuck up,
Ooh, I know which one my co-host wants me to do.
always and forever. Um, so to make this a little less of an inside joke, there are plenty of times where people get I don't know if defensive is the right word to use
Hung
here.
up.
Hung up. That's good. They get hung up on the details. They get a little too lost in the sauce, and they fail to enjoy the work. They kind of lose sight of the forest for the trees in some ways. And we want to talk about necessarily when that's appropriate and when it's good to scrutinize and good to, you know, really look at the devil in the details versus when it's just shut the fuck up and have some fun with it. Because there's times it's just good to
Popcorn.
shut the fuck.
Face.
Yeah,
Eyeballs.
popcorn, face,
Screen.
enjoy, have a ball, don't think too hard. I'm gonna add my general note. I I think that you can have terrific fucking popcorn stuffing movies that have good writing and are interesting and don't need to be riddled with plot holes and phlebitis, but you know
If you can, you should, but it's not
yeah,
requisite.
but there's some things that it's like it clearly just wants to be wacky, zany, and different, and that it should just be okay. So are we going to start with the ugly beaten bat, or are we going to start with the nice brush?
Let's go sad times into happy
All
times.
right, ugly beaten bat first. Not necessarily, just when to be a little harsher. And if you were gonna tout kind of the idea of realism and grit and grime, and you're gonna try and make it feel heavy, for lack of a better term,
Get
and
that oomph with the woomph.
yeah, if that's the goal, and you're trying to take the kind of lightheartedness out of it and make it feel authentic and oppressive and all that, you're opening yourself up to whether or not people can relate and feel like you hit it. I think a decent example of this is like the Netflix shows for Marvel. So like Jessica Jones, like Daredevil. We're not gonna talk about Iron Fist. Let's just fucking leave that shit alone. But I think like Daredevil and Punisher especially like tried to put this emphasis on having a lot of emotional fallout and things like financial fallout because of their actions. They tried to kind of take away some of the comic book flair and make it feel more grounded.
They were going after that Nolan vibe.
Yeah, without some of the over the top bombastic drama that I think the Dark Knight series had. Because as much as that was quote unquote realism, it's still got a bit fucking hokey with it.
Yeah.
Like it clearly over dramatized some shit. And it feels like the goal of these was to keep it very small scale, very, very narrow in scope, so that it felt more intimate isn't quite the right word, but it's close. Um, and I think when you start doing things like that, that really you're opening yourself up to criticism, to constructive or otherwise. And like there's certain things about Daredevil that I'm like, you kind of fucked up. Like I like Charlie Cox the actor. That fucker doesn't look like he can throw a good punch.
Yeah.
Like, and so there's things like that where that is fighting is an integral part of the series. Like violence is an integral part of the series. You should make it convincing.
And I mean, it's especially looks weird when it's juxtaposed with another character in the same series in Frank Castle's Punisher,
Punisher.
where it
Yeah.
reads so well.
Oh yeah.
I think is like the thing that is kind of problematic is like when it's
Yeah.
when they have the same kind of like Jessica Jones and Daredevil when compared to Punisher and Luke Cage, it's like the violence doesn't feel the same.
No.
I think that's like one of the issues, and I absolutely agree.
Yeah. That's it's just if you're gonna do it, you've got to make it feel heavy. Like
Yeah,
yeah,
it's the tone. Like you
yeah,
have to, if the tone was a little bit more cartoony and light, him doing all those like crazy flips, her kind of casually like throwing a car to the effective moon would be fine. But you're going for something gritty, and so you can't have disparity between tone and the metaphorical reality here.
yeah. Like, I'd argue you can kind of get away with it with Jessica Jones because she's just supposed to be outrageously strong. She sort of gets the pass. Daredevil does not.
Sure.
Like, I mean, and there's a couple other things you can kind of get into if you really want. But like, that's the big one that stands out for me is it's like if you've got to do this, you got to commit. Like, you can't have action like you're on fucking Kung Pao.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you're not punching people's stomach blood out. That's just like, come on.
Yeah.
So it's like that's if you're gonna make it real, and that's gonna be a big selling point. And I think that can be a very good selling point. Like I think the Punisher took it and fucking ran with it,
Yeah.
really fucking well. Like,
And this is the thing you're going to see over the course of this list is kind of staying consistent, matching your circumstances, and making sure that everything's on. You don't want anything standing out either one way or another.
yeah, and like there's certain things that even though like there's certain things that when held up to scrutiny gives you a greater appreciation of the product. Like just because you scrutinize something doesn't make it intrinsically bad.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like
It's when it doesn't
should
meet
you where does it warrant scrutiny versus you
yeah.
know what doesn't.
Right, that's the whole point of why we're going through this list, and
Yep.
I think that's very much like it isn't. There's certain these ones should be held up to scrutiny because of the circumstance they're putting themselves in. Daredevil wanted to be serious, but then has these things where you don't buy the action. That can't stand if you want to be that serious. That's like part of the package that you were supposed to sign up for, and you forgot to bring that. And that's a problem. And the problem with this next one on this entry is black people. Am I right? Sort of kidding. So the circumstances, and there's a large group of these, is Hollywood really likes to be like, all right, we're going to make a movie about the black struggle. Already off to a rough start as like, I don't know, 95% of Hollywood is a white man and has no idea what the fuck they're talking about. So rough starting point. The second problem is they don't want to be ever a villain. There is, and I think I can say this pretty safely, no movie that has been made in the United States in the last, I don't know, pick an amount of time if you want, where there has been a main black character who the whole point is their life sucks, the circumstances is bullshit, which accurate. But then they have these white saviors and or white like sidekick to show that there are good whiteys out there, which is just, I mean, it's not untrue, but it takes away the circumstance. It balances out to where it's like, see, there's good ones and there's bad ones. Nope. Systematically, that is like just wildly untrue. There might be one good one for like 20 bad ones, especially if you want to look at the time period. Literally, in 12 Years a Slave, there is a good white guy character played by a very gorgeously bearded Brad Pitt. And it's like, bruh, this is the 1800s. We be out here killing people because they look different, and there's no law against it. And you're going to be like, oh yes, Brad Pitt's here. See, good white guy. Come on. Just like, we have hundreds of years of sucking. That's fine. Make a movie, make a story. Like, I think honestly, the only one that I can think of, and even then, no, there's even then. Like, I love Django Unchained. I think it does a fair amount of justice to some of the aspects of the circumstance, which is great. However, still got a main white sidekick showing us they're not all bad. Luckily, German, so it helps the dichotomy a little bit more. And like the level of fucked up is insane in that movie, which helps a little bit more. But it still is. There's a good white guy. There always has to be a good white guy because, oh Lord, we can't have all the whiteys being bad. That would just be terrible. Or, accurate. And so you have all these stories where the white guys at home get to go, see, I would have been one of them. I would have been the King Schultz. I would have been, it's like, no.
I'm gonna throw an interesting wrench in this.
Hit me.
Okay.
Preferably not in the head.
Okay. So I see where you're coming from. However, however, I'm gonna have you chill the fuck out.
Oh.
This just it sounds like guilt creeping through the works a little bit. Maybe it's not, but the other thing I would note is that like, so it's there are white people in South Africa, there are white people in Australia, there are white people in Europe, there are white people in there's some fucking white looking motherfuckers
Sure.
in Asia. The idea of being like there's no good whitey. Like one thing Artemis is so happy about traveling is she's just American again. There's no
Interesting.
there's no attribution of you're African American, you're Asian American. She's just fucking American.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the idea that there's no good white, like the idea that there's a good whitey in Django. It's like, yeah, motherfucker ain't American.
He's not American, and that,
Yeah,
and like I said, that
he's
does help.
distinctly different. So like
Yeah.
I think just and I think we're the wrong people to comment too harsh on this. I don't think this is our place to put a foot down and say nay. Yeah.
My concern is that it makes it in one good aspect, it does make it more palatable, which is good, gets the story across. The other one is I think a lot of people aren't willing to take ownership of the past and look at the circumstance for what it is. And that's like one of my big concerns is the like media is one of the like the number one major consumption of just a lot of social commentary, a lot of just situations. That's the way people get an absurd amount of life interactions and kind of just
Sure.
not introspection but like outrospection, seeing the world. Is a lot of it comes from movies.
Sure.
Is what it is. And so to tell these stories, I feel like it undercuts the plight, undercuts especially the historical circumstance for some of these, like Green Book and The Butler are like two of the ones where it's just like, come on. And especially with The Butler, I think they're making a lot of the US presidents a lot more kind of like, oh, this is okay. Like see, they treated the butler nice. It's like there's a lot to unpack there, and also probably not. But just this, I think it's better to go overboard than to dial it back, and I think we're dialing it back collectively just like too much by making so many like, oh, we got to have like a couple good white guys in there that save the day, that back them up. The reality is that didn't always happen. Sometimes it did. There are people that legitimately happened. A good example and a very historically accurate one was the movie 42. Harrison Ford's character Branch Rickey legitimately did basically everything that has been described in like by eyewitness accounts and by historians. He went out of his way to get the first African American to come into the league. Or I don't think he was actually the first. I think he was like the second or third. But he like the first one that really stuck, made an impact, and changed the way shit moved forward. And he did it intentionally. That is a kind of different story where he wanted to make a difference. And he says as much in the movie that he fucked up when he was a kid and when he was playing baseball that he didn't support a black teammate of his. And that like it fucked with him for the rest of his life. And that's the reason he did this, is because he felt like he messed up, because he did. But that's very different to me than these kind of situations of like, oh, see, they're the good one in a fabricated circumstance or in, a retelling or what have you, when you're kind of, you're recreating it. I think it does more service at making it palatable where the audience member gets to like kind of see the good and not the bad, and it allows them to more easily enjoy the product but without the ramifications which so clearly I think to some degree are trying to be stated. And that's the scrutiny here, is not necessarily on the filmmaking but on the output for most viewers, like on a diatribe. The movie The Graduate, the way it ends is after the main character disrupts her wedding and then runs away with her. They're sitting on a bus and they're just kind of looking around. And the idea of the movie is that now that they've done this like wild, youthful act of, loving disobedience, if you will. They have nothing. There is nothing there. There's no relationship. They haven't interacted with each other. It's all just foolishness of youth. And that's what it's meant to portray. But so many people have stated and said that that's not their takeaway from this, when that was what the creator wanted to do. And I hope and I believe that for a lot of these movies, Green Book, The Butler, Django Unchained, that and 12 Years a Slave, they're very much trying to, showcase that. But I think it gets a bit undermined by this it's almost like an out for the audience member to see themselves and not, kind of look inward, but like, project themselves onto the good white guy. My 1,000 cents.
This is one of those places where I don't want to overplay my hand. I don't want to try to advocate too much on someone else's behalf and be the condescending fucking white knight. Like, this is, and I don't know where the right amount of passivity versus, deliberate action is. I'm not sure.
Fair enough.
But, like, I know that at a certain point, trying to be too helpful just comes across as condescending.
We can move on, but that's kind of what I feel like these characters in those movies are doing in a way to the material. But I think we just come at this differently. Neither incorrect, neither, 100% correct.
It is a difference of opinion and viewpoint.
One thing that we can both agree on, though.
If you're going to make a movie about that's supposed to be Oscar bait, it's supposed to be terrific and outstanding, and you got to make it good. You got to make it good. Like, if you're clearly going to do something intentionally that looks like Oscar bait, or it's...
You got to have some circumstance to that pomp.
Yeah, and, because then you get shit like Cats.
I dreamed a dream.
I think that's Les Miserables. Isn't it?
Oh, sorry. Memories.
There you go. I was like,
hey, they're
whoa.
both Oscar bait. They're
Fair.
both musicals.
Fair.
One of them has a slightly different cat suit in mind.
Yeah, I mean, to actually hit Les Miserables actually fucks.
There's a baby that's born in it.
Yeah, literally. That movie is. To be fair, I didn't think that you could take Wolverine, put him in a musical, and have it be good. But you know what? Goddamn.
To be fair, I believe he had a Tony before he ever had an Emmy or an Oscar.
Really?
If he has either of those. Oh yeah, no. The guy's like one of his bigger roles was in Kansas or something. He came from musical theater. That's what he does. That's what he did before.
I did not know.
Yeah, Hugh Jackman fucks up a Broadway stage.
Fair enough. But yeah, it's if you're gonna do Oscar bait, if you're gonna do a musical, because that's clearly fishing.
Come correct.
Yeah, you gotta. Oh, you can't. Ooh, there's just some things that just
you can't be looking that bad, being that creepy.
You can't be rolling up looking like that. You cannot be.
You can't be fucking up catsuit so much that furries are like, I don't know, Chief.
I don't want to be.
I'm
not affiliated with you.
Yeah. When you have the furry community being like, no.
When you fuck up so bad that people will not do Rule 34 of you.
Somebody's checked Reddit. That's wild. I hadn't thought about that.
Like,
jeez.
I mean, like, sure, because any video game that I'm interested in, I just you troll around Reddit, you find porn of it sooner or later. The fact that at no point I've ever seen or heard a breath about pornography being made for cats. Holy shit! That is the most odd ringing indictment of your character design ever.
That's how you know you have it. That's how you know you fucked up.
Yeah,
Is
like
when you can't find porn of your product
listen,
anywhere
when the
online.
internet isn't horny enough to jerk off to you, you fucked up.
Yeah,
Because they jerk off to dragons fucking cars,
they
like
jerk off to toasters.
toasters. We got fucking characters from Wall-E, for Christ's sake. Like, Jesus Christ.
Evil looking thick.
Yeah, like, listen, Lightning McQueen has more game than you. What are you doing?
Yeah, and they had all the names, they had all the money, they had the in quotes right director, although that's debatable depending on how you want to look
Sure.
into it. But yeah, it really did just like miss the mark by a trillion, and it's because what it's going for. This one's kind of back to the Daredevil one a little bit. In the what they're setting out for is to be the same kind of feeling as a Broadway musical.
No.
The issue is, one, they changed the music. Two, it strays away from that vibe of theater, which is hard to put into film anyway. But then you've got like the CGI and the James Gordon should be put in a can opener, not in movies, for starters. Like, the guy sucks every which way till Sunday. I'm not a big fan of Rebel Wilson. She can do better, but like both of those together, and that's a whoa, like just fucking garbage. And it takes Cats, from what I've seen of it and from what I've heard of it, is supposed to be a lot more kind of lighthearted fun, kind of playing it with itself, not just like making a mockery of all that's taken place. And then you have the visuals, and then you have the fact that the story's kind of done a little bit backwards in certain spots. And it's the songs are misattributed to the wrong characters. And again, with the visuals, like,
Oh, it's hard.
Oh.
It's hard to look at.
it's a hard no.
Yeah, like if you're gonna do a play to screen, you have to you have to give authenticity and respect to your source material, and that felt downright disrespectful. They did that source material dirty.
Disrespectful. It's like, it looks like you put it in Blender, not the like physical like kitchen object. I mean the program.
Yeah.
It looks like you put that in Blender with faces.
Yeah.
It's just so bad to look at.
Yeah.
And then the vibe is wrong on top of it.
Yeah.
And then it's too many and thens.
Way too many and thens. No movie gets that many and thens. It doesn't deserve to get fucking ripped apart.
Except for Dude, Where's My Car? Next on the list, we've got a movie that is not hard to look at. Sucker Punch is an awesomely stylistic, fun romp. Or at least it should have been. The issue is, and like many others that want to play fast and loose, they do this thing that I think too many people have watched too much anime and thought they could do it in like a Hollywood movie. And you can't. One of the things that happens in this movie, so this movie starts off at a funeral, and then a girl going to psychiatric ward that you find out later the reason she did was because her stepfather, I think, was getting a little handsy with her and her sister, and then she killed him, and then she went to a psych ward because it actually, wait, no, she kills her sister? Something bad, atrociously like horrific happens, and she gets sent to a psych ward.
Yeah.
And then it goes into this like multiple dimensions deep, where it's kind of like Incepty, where she like goes to the psych ward, and then it goes a level deeper, and she kind of re-sees her world in a different circumstance as a coping mechanism. Cool, I'm here for it. And then we have this fun romp where she goes even a level deeper, and they go on missions in this alternate world of another alternate world, where they're like, to escape the psych ward, they need to get a key, but instead of getting a key, she's like fighting off Nazis to get to a dragon to steal the egg. It's really fucking cool. Go watch the fight scenes. They're fucking busted. The only problem is the story doesn't care about all the, again, like the circumstance. You've got a character who's gone through all of this. and you can't exactly, if I'm supposed to care about the character, you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater in this case. You can't be like, oh, well, she's in the circumstance, don't care how she got there, whoosh. Like, that has to matter. And then the way the movie ends, and I'll spoil this because you should not see this movie, is she gets a fucking what's it called, ice pick brain lobotomy. She gets a lobotomy from John Hamm. Just shows up for 5 minutes, gives her a lobotomy, and then goes, like, sits back and goes, huh, she did this thing. And it's almost comedic when the character effectively dies. You know, lobotomies, FYI, basically fuck up your brain and make it, especially back then, so you were a vegetable, because that was preferable. And so you have all this lead up, all this story for not I would argue the wrong character gets to leave the asylum. It's just a fucking garbage bag of, like, just circumstantial setup problems, to where at, like, plenty of times it is like comedic, fun, actiony romp, but then you have these hyper serious things and the most melancholy ending. It's just a fucking dumpster fire. It's totally just incorrect, and the through lines don't play. Just go to YouTube. You can find these. There's like 1,000 of them. Just click. If you ever think about watching it, I guess I should rephrase. If you're ever thinking about watching this movie, just go to YouTube and then type in Sucker Punch action scenes. And I'm sure somebody out there has made a compilation. Watch that and know that you've seen all of the best bits of the movie by a lot.
By a country mile.
Yeah. What else should they maybe not see?
They should maybe not see Conqueror.
But it's got John Wayne. He's my favorite.
John Wayne is not Mongolian. I'm just gonna fucking throw that one out there.
He's also not a cowboy, which is the best part. He never served in the service. like the guy is a caricature of a fake human being. He's a straw hat of a fucking billboard. The guy is just an American propaganda that came to life.
Yeah, if you're gonna do a biopic of anything, you need to really have reverence to what you're doing, because you're playing another person. They lived, they did stuff. That presumably you're doing a person that had significant impact on something. I mean, otherwise it'd be weird if you're just doing Fred from accounting. People are like, who the fuck is this guy?
Dude, I would watch that series. Just biopics of random civilians that nobody knows.
Just random fucking shitheads. Just.
I mean, I guess that's how you get slice of life movies, right? It's just kind of somebody's biopic.
Just some random asshole's biopic. Just some fucker on the subway. Yeah, like, but if you're gonna do, like, and there are tremendous good examples of this, like we mentioned earlier, like 42, is a good.
42's busted.
42's really good.
Sticking with the same actor, the Get Down,
thank you,
the James Brown one.
Thank you, because, like, there's people who knew James Brown and they're like, holy shit.
Yeah,
that's him. Like,
yeah.
that's how he was. That's how he looked. That's how he acted. Oh my god.
He
like,
beat women. He made great songs. He was an awesome piece of shit.
Yeah, like,
good job.
Yeah, so it's like, if you're gonna do it, you gotta do it. Like,
gotta come correct.
Yeah, and you are not playing you. You are not yourself. You are portraying somebody else.
But that Tartar woman deserves a slap.
And hearing somebody with the Fu Manchu and shitty mascara and like foundation talking with an American accent just hurts my soul.
Thickest, fakest Texas accent you've ever heard.
To be fair, he dials it back a little bit for this. But he sure as fuck still ain't from that continent. Like, just, dear God. But he's still got, like, the fucking, his body language is the exact same. He still has the same slap, for fuck's sake.
The wide stance.
Yeah, like, oh my lord.
He just showed up on set and they just gave him a mustache. Like, all right,
yeah,
your name is Genghis this week, John. He's like, all right.
Yeah, so that's one of those places where it's like, if you are going to portray something that's real, and a person that's real, especially if you're gonna pull Like big names, especially if it's recent too. Like look the part, do
Yeah.
the part, because you're opening yourself to scrutiny because that's in many cases, like in the case of the James Brown one, it's like that's somebody people fucking know. Like they remember him and they're still alive today.
Yeah.
Like and
Well, I mean, if you're doing ones about like Genghis Khan or, Marco Polo or something like that, that's somebody that had a global impact.
yeah,
So either make it intentionally a parody or fucking do your homework.
yeah.
If you want to see a parody, and granted, he's alive and was a part of it, but I mean, watch the fucking, uh, crap. Who's the guy parodies songs?
Oh, Weird Al.
Yeah, watch the Weird Al documentary, or not documentary, biopic. It's hellaciously awesome, but like it was made to be a parody. It was
It's
made to be
be
hokey.
overblown and hokey as shit because I don't
Yeah,
think Weird Al would want it any other way.
yeah, and Weird Al very much had a hand in this, which helps. But I mean, if you're going to do that, like if you're gonna get John Wayne to play Genghis, fucking dial it to 1,000. Lean into like that's what should have been done. But instead, they're like, no, we have a big name for a big movie. Here you go.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and it's not like they weren't doing it right at those times. Look back, it's not, by today's standards, it wouldn't hold up. But by then, this is what they were doing right. Was like, if you look at the Ten Commandments with Charlton Heston, like he's coming correct. He's white. He's playing, a Hebrew, but like for that time, like that's
Like,
showcasing. It's giving it the
you
power.
could still do better.
Yeah, that's like trying to.
Yeah.
This was not that.
No.
Things that do try my understanding of films, though,
Ooh.
are action movies that like to go hard. And when I say hard, I mean hard in like the kind of impetus behind the character going all John Rambo on the bitch. So you have movies like Rambo, you have movies like Taken that in the first, and this is kind of like a little bit of a, I don't want to say esoteric rant, but a nitpick, if you will. In the first Rambo movie, you have a veteran coming back from the war, interacts with some shitty police, has flashbacks, shit goes awry, and the movie ends with this really good look at what it is to have like PTSD in a way. For an action movie, it does a pretty good job of showcasing, triggers and so on and so forth. And that is like, it's pretty great. And you get this action movie out of it. It's almost like a think piece. And that's great. The issue is then to make more bucks, they go, yeah, but like, what if he just shot a gun for 2 hours? And then what if we made 7 of them? So you have this, jumping off point of being one of kind of care and, not faithfulness to the circumstance or anything like that, but it very much handles the ideas that are being at play here to give this character the necessary motivations. It's treating them with care and consideration and compassion, albeit bloody care, consideration, and compassion. It is care, consideration, compassion nonetheless. And the same thing kind of is true with Taken. A little bit different, obviously, not playing with PTSD, but it is dealing with, what about women that are stolen and put into, sexual servitude? What about, European kind of gang violence? What about all this? And it does, while still being a very strong action movie, play with that and give it the necessary care for what it is. It's not, nobody watches that having known somebody who's interacted with that or having experienced that themselves and goes, what the fuck? Not in a big way. They might go, oh, that's not how it was done, but they wouldn't feel like it was just obtuse. However, same with both franchises, if you look at the movies after that, it really is, it might as well have a different name because they're not taking the care and the consideration that they did to initially get us invested. Now they're just playing with house money and not treating, like, how am I supposed to care that somebody, like, I'm trying to remember, I think it was one of the ones that was just called like Rambo when he's like a bajillion years old and he's still just like throat snapping people left and right. but he's doing it after like we've seen sexual misconduct and rape towards people that are coming to give charity and medicine to like the distraught townsfolk that are being like messed up by these warlords. So we have that, we're invested, but now we've got just like infinite clips and just like it's just nonsense. It's just this kind of, to harken back to the Daredevil thing in a different way, it's you have one thing and another, and there's this gulf in between what should be right next to each other, but it's you're asking the viewer to mentally jump up or jump down a cliff and pretend like it was just one step. And that's not what it is.
Yeah. And I think kind of the same thing for Taken is just it has a good kind of jumping off point, and it's good and it's self-contained, and if they stopped at one, it'd probably be okay. That's like
banger.
Yeah, I mean you could make the argument that, it glamorizes violence or what the fuck ever. But like it has a very coherent, very locked in, dialed in plot, and it doesn't try to be more or less than what it sets out to be, and that just it gets so skewed when you start introducing more. And also just, good God, some of its sad cinematography later. The 7-cut jumping a fence hurts my soul. Like that too you just have a degradation of what made it originally great and captivating. So there's that.
So to go over to Happy Town, we're gonna stay on the action plank, as it were. And we've got Star Wars. And the difference between these two, even though they do have kind of rough moments, is the way they're kind of handled. Rambo and Taken, their starting points are very much...
It's a lot more real. It's meant to be a lot more real.
It's a lot more real. It's a lot harsher. And the way they look at the terrifying circumstance, just the music, the cinematography, it's really meant to fuck you up. You're really meant to connect with this character. You're supposed to, like, to the core. Star Wars, like, so we've got the Rambo that taken this kind of epic, almost like, hey, maybe throw us an Oscar. Hey, maybe, this means something to somebody. This has ramifications. There is thought. There's, you can have a discussion, as we have and other people have, about what this may mean.
Yeah.
But then with Star Wars, it's more, it's called a space opera, and something else in that same kind of verisimilitude would be like the WWF. This is this big bombastic thing. The feelings are put out on the surface so that the audience knows it, but we're not digging deep into necessarily a lot of whys. It's, I'm angry, I'm sad, that kind of thing. So the audience knows it. You've got when Luke gets pissed off in like I think it's the second or third one. Like I'm trying to remember. There's one where he breaks down and has a moment, and he's just furious, and he just screams and runs at Darth Vader, sword like lightsaber up, and just goes at him. It's like, that's awesome. But also, I'm not like, no, Luke. I'm like, oh shit, get him. Like, it's just, well, I'm in there for the action. Yeah. So I want to have happen. Are there some, kind of story moments? Yeah, but it's literally just, it's eye candy. It's eye candy with a great soundtrack and cool weapons. Yeah. And there is nothing wrong with that.
I mean, we got space wizards. Like...
Yeah.
I mean...
We got a religion that makes no sense. Like...
We have literal planet-busting, like, weapons.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's meant to be on a ridiculous, grandiose stage. It's meant to be bombastic and over the top and larger than life. Deliberately.
Yeah. It doesn't need to be more.
No.
It doesn't need to be a religion. Doesn't need to be a language. Doesn't need to make you write, thesis level hate pieces slandering how they should have done this or that. Nobody needs to. anybody that does, and I respect that they did the math Reddit, but anybody that does scientific research to prove why Star Wars is dumb is themselves an idiot. You've got so much stuff that just denies physics. You've got, first off, you've got, like you were saying, space wizards. You've got people that can, like, effectively, like, fly. And you're like, yeah, but we don't know what tech we're working with. They're also not on Earth. Shit could work different. Just because they look like us, even though it's been established that they are very much not us, as we cannot fly, move shit with our brain powers, and have space swords. Like, come on! Just stop. Get some help.
Yeah. Just
eat some popcorn, enjoy the movie.
Yeah, we're casually jumping to light speed. Like, yeah, I understand that just breaks physics as we know it, but so does the Force. Like, shut up.
The only mild gripe I'll allow is the Kessel Run, or there's something that Han Solo talks about, and he uses a unit of measurement that in this series, I believe, is meant to represent something, and he uses it wrong.
It's meant to be distance, not time.
Yeah,
it's
like
8
sure,
parsecs.
that's a fun thing to make fun of.
There are I will add a caveat to this because we're sounding a bit defensive of our boy Star Wars. There are things you can absolutely like. There are things you could critique for a term of storytelling.
Oh yeah, it's lazy storytelling.
Yeah, like there's especially some of the newer ones. There's some fucking storytelling I want to slash to ribbons. But you can't don't just fucking punch it on principle.
Yeah,
like that's the big thing.
Don't hold it up for the wrong reasons. Holding it up as if the relationships are the big things at play here, or like why would this, why would that? It's like you need to take it down a lot. It is very low key, space operatic, just fun. It doesn't need to be like that big. It doesn't need to matter that much.
No. And speaking of things that don't need to matter that much.
Or at all.
Or at all. Big one. Fucking B-movies. Just enjoy them. Like,
shut up and pass the popcorn.
Shut up, pass the popcorn. Like, if you're watching a B-movie, you should just come with the expectation that you're not looking for a fucking cinematic, critical masterpiece. If you fucking put on Sharknado and you are expecting perfect narrative cohesion and, logical, sensible writing, get the fuck out.
like the fact that anybody rates them, like I feel like B movies should not have a rating option on like Rotten Tomatoes. It should say B movie. That's all it should say. It should not say any more than that. Especially the ones that are made to be that way.
I feel like it should not have critical reviews. I feel like you can still get an audience consensus.
Sure.
I feel like an audience consensus, sure. If the popular vote says it's garbage, okay.
Yeah.
But
you should not have
the popular vote will also recommend shit like The Room. So who the fuck knows? Like
I feel like you should not be able to in the critical or in the audience reviews. I feel like the words "doesn't hold up to scrutiny" should automatically remove your review from the thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, there's clearly shit that's just, you have a tornado with sharks. That's movie 1. There's 7 of these. Like, I don't.
It's the Lambertor time for adults.
Yeah, like it's preposterous. Its principle, its premise is preposterous. It's so outlandish. And like, listen, either you're fucking in or you are out. But don't try to like nitpick. But like, he cut his way out of a shark. Well, I don't know if he could fit. Shut the fuck up.
Really? That's where you're drawing the line? Cuts out of a shark?
White.
Not the fact that they're flying in the sky.
I was going to say, a great white just got yeeted by a tornado, and you're going to fucking talk to
and isn't just dead.
Yeah, like, great whites are humongous. They're heavy as fuck. The notion that a tornado picked it up and didn't just destroy the buildings that fucking went by, like, and the fact, like, shut the fuck up. Listen, if you would have started applying the physics of this tornado, it would just flatten the state. Like, Florida would just get carved off the map. Like, shut the fuck up. enjoy. Like,
I'm just
for
imagining
God's
Galactus with a
sakes,
knife just
by
eating
movie
Florida.
6, there is a god of sharks, and it's bringing Sharknadoes to the planet. I'm not kidding. It gets ridiculous.
Awesome.
The
Awesome.
last one is time travel undoing the other movies.
Woo!
Yes. For God's sake.
Finally, time travel Eli doesn't hate.
Yeah, like just there's like one of them is like about this fucking Giga Sharknado, like they're like fuses together and shit. It's ridiculous. It's absurd. Like, shut up. Like, listen, if you don't want to watch it because you think it's dumb, fair and valid. If you're like, this sounds like, I think The Room is stupid. Do I understand why people like it? Sure. Am I gonna fucking make a point to rant about it online? Why it's no? It's a dumb B movie. It doesn't deserve the attention. Let it
Oh,
go.
hi, Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark. Like, just
I did not hit her. I did not.
yeah, like just let it go. Just either enjoy it or politely excuse yourself. Don't be an ass.
Yeah. There's a difference between there being something wrong with a movie and you not liking a movie. For the next one, I don't think there's anything wrong with the movie. My co-host might hate it. So one of the things that, again, not meant to hold up to scrutiny, not meant to really have any scrutiny towards it because of who it's for, is that kind of kids' books, schlocky kind of romance novel-y type of stuff. So, of course, with that prelude, I'm talking about Twilight. Look, I don't fuck with Twilight. Not a big fan. It's not for me. I am not a literally 15-year-old girl who was literally, like, you talk to the author. That's who she wrote it for. I believe in it, if I remember correctly, in an interview, she said that she wrote these for her, like, self if she was, like, that age. That's what she was going for. And it was, it's her fantasy. She's clearly writing herself as the main heroine. And, like, how, what she thought would be kind of cool and hot and, young teen girls would mess with. None of those things are me. But also, again, it's supposed to be romance for a teenager. So, the most grounded, well thought out human brain in existence. I don't know if you guys remember, but when I went through puberty and realized that cooties were made up and boobs were awesome, lots of big brain thoughts came to my head. Oh wait, no they didn't. That's not how that shit works.
It turns out the adolescent brain is a stupid place.
It's so dumb. Just like I feel the way these movies are. So I'm thinking it works. And maybe this idea of like, well, in Act 5, or, well, why would they do this, or that's fucked up. Again, teenage brain, either watch it, eat some popcorn, jerk off, whatever your Twilight ritual is, do that, or leave the room. And know that you're not that age, or perhaps that demo, and let them have their fun. Rebuttal.
I can't open my mouth. Can't do it. I detest everything about this series. I can't talk. I'm one of the haters who can't shut up and enjoy here. I am that person. I am that douchebag on the internet.
Yeah, you're the guy that should shut up and leave.
Yeah, I should. Except it's not a fucking B movie. It had production quality and editing.
That's one of those is debatable.
Both of them are fucking debatable. All right, I'm gonna go to a safer space
You don't have nothing
here.
nice to say.
I don't, so I'm gonna move on. I have nothing.
I love that. That rule doesn't apply for this channel, for the record.
No, it doesn't. I have a lot of not nice things to say, but I don't need to. So we're gonna move on. I mean, yes, there's things I should just let go.
Hey, no, I think that is a very no. Let's take a moment there. I think that is a very real thing, though. That what you are doing right now is what a lot of people on the internet clearly can't allow themselves to do, which is just be like, this is my opinion. It's fine. Some opinions don't need to be said, and that's somebody who talks. That's coming from someone who talks through their ass and out their mind all the goddamn time. There's lots of things that between friends or in casual conversation bring it up, but like you don't need to post it online. Don't yuck somebody's yum, basically.
Yeah.
This, for a lot of people, they fuck with this in a big way. That's for them, and that's fine. It's not hurting anyone. The people that are like, well, it sets unrealistic standards, blah blah. Vampires, werewolves, shut up. Like, it's just, there's nothing real about this to get like upset about. It's poorly written for a group that is just like looking at it in its imagery.
I mean, the truth is, the bigger reason I hate it is because it's just so, it's shit. It's shit writing. It's shit storytelling, and it got wildly popular, and I hate it. Same reason I detest 50 Shades of Grey.
That one, I detest it for different reasons, but that's fair. But what you're feeling right there, I feel like a big part of that is you're just incredulous.
Oh, absolutely. I'm jaded as fuck.
If you were not somebody trying to write and make novels and have that be your like futuristic dream, profession, I don't think you'd give a shit.
I would certainly care less. That is for damn sure.
Yeah.
It's a lot of personal jading, which is why I'm just like,
yeah.
So.
The world's not fair. It sucks that this schlocky writing found a home base, and your great prose have not yet.
Don't trump me up too hard. Anyway,
comparatively,
I'll take
illustrious prose.
I'll take it. But not everything has to have illustrious prose. Some shit could just be goofy, because parodies exist. And sometimes they're going to hit things you like, and you're not going to like it. Cope. Like,
deal with it.
Yeah, like, Scary Movie is just it's just goofy. It's not meant to be serious. It's just, it's dumb.
It's real dumb.
It's real dumb. It's some real lowbrow humor. Like, it's just stupid. It just rips on Scream. And
Did your movie make $100 million last year? We're gonna make fun of it.
Yeah, like it's just there to fucking make fun of dumb shit and just poke holes or poke fun at and parody. Like, just fucking laugh. Just laugh, please.
Laugh or don't watch.
Yeah, like if it's not for you, it's not for you. Again, like, and that's.
What was that?
I tried to not say anything, and you fucking pressed. Like, but I feel that parodies can be done, and like now I will draw a line in the sand that there is a difference between parodying something and just ripping something up.
Sure.
There is a difference between having a joke at and insulting, right? Like,
Velma.
Yeah, exactly. Like Velma's not a parody. Velma's not a reboot. Velma is just
cancer.
It is just a series of insults to its fan base and its origin story. Like, fuck you, But Scary Movie is a parody. Like, it just pokes fun at horror tropes. It pokes fun at movies that made shit tons of money. Like, it's just having a joke at their expense because they could fucking afford it.
Yeah.
Like you said, you made $100 million last year. You're ammo. People know you. Like, you're easy name branding that we can piggyback on. Now, fuck it. Like, I don't have much more to add. Like,
no, there's not much more. The fact that, again, it's up there with B movies. The fact that any critic gets to review this is just stupid. It's either like this kind of goes back to the art. There is an audience for all art. If you don't like this, that's fine. But the idea of holding it up to these rules and these laws of storytelling just doesn't track. No. It's a comedy that's a parody about multiple subjects. There's so many of those things that it just doesn't need to hold up to.
Sure.
It's like that it doesn't apply. Rules do not apply to this.
Yeah.
And you can say you didn't like it. You can say, thumbs up, thought it was good. Thumbs down, thought it was good. But the idea of bringing in this, like,
jokes don't land.
Yeah. But this idea of bringing in, like, any amount of, like, story or any amount of, like, like bringing in prose or anything like that is just fucking wholesale stupid.
Yeah.
Another thing, and kind of in the same line of things, is being offended at comedies. So much, in my estimation, so much of comedy is binary in that either you do find it funny or you don't. Obviously, if literally zero people find it funny, was a bad joke. If, a small group of people found it funny, it was an inside joke or for a specific audience. But it still is a joke, and it wasn't not funny, you just didn't find it funny. And I think there is a important distinction. One for your own self, and two for just like art and shit in the world in general. Sometimes it's just not for you, Twilight, scary movie. In this case, comedies. Some comedies just aren't for you, and that's fine. But the idea to like rip into comedies when so much of comedy itself is this kind of nonsensical earworm,
Sure.
hilarious nature. One of the I remember reading some book about comedy from I think it's George Carlin, and talking about one of the most important tenets of comedy is to catch your viewer off guard. If your viewer knows what you're going to say next, unless they've heard the joke before and found it funny, they're usually not going to laugh unless the presentation is different, and then again, you have in some way surprised the viewer. It's
Mhm.
kind of like the happy reverse of horror. If you know what's going to happen in a horror movie, you're not going to be scared by it. If you know what's going to happen in a joke, you're generally not going to laugh. So the idea is to kind of take, a left turn when expecting a right.
Sure.
So much of it follows a different set of rules as opposed to storytelling, as opposed to this idea of, setting expectations and, going in the opposite direction. So assuming, and the awkward thing is then it kind of folds in on itself, because if you do what was expected, but the viewer hasn't seen comedy before, it's not funny. But if you do what was expected and the viewer has seen comedy before, it's unexpected because they thought you were going to go right when you were going to go left, but now you're going left. And so it's like this double reverse thing. So I would argue that there's no wrong way to do comedy, just it's not for the right group, ostensibly. And one of the ones that was kind of done this way, or got ripped this hard anyway, is this movie Problem Child. This movie's not for everyone. It's got weird violence, a vindictive kid, and a cat that goes in a dryer. It's rough. I think it was made in the late 80s, early 90s. Different time, some might say. But it's also still just a comedy about a kid who's fucking weird and, literally a problem child. Kid's fucking crazy. Like, I think there's a decent chance that the movie was constructed with the idea of, what if we made The Omen, but it was hilarious? Because that's what it feels like. It's just like, yeah, but like, what if we found him adorable, or what if at the end he decides to do a good thing? Which I think I've actually watched at least two of these movies. I believe at the end of every single one, the problem child either intentionally or unintentionally ends up saving the day in a weird way. Which is fucking bizarre. The movie's like, it's probably not good, but it definitely isn't bad. It definitely isn't 0%. So, I don't know, just like realize that someone out there probably found it funny and you didn't, and that's okay. The idea of a joke being offensive kind of comes with the territory, but I think that's a fair critique, is you found something offensive, which is fine. I don't think you necessarily need to, unless it's literally like that egregious, to start shouting it from the mountaintops like everyone needs to fucking know.
Yeah.
At the core of every joke, someone is being made fun of. Even if you make fun of a joke about, like, even if your joke is about a rock and how, like, rocks are dumb, if I collect rocks, I am slightly, that's targeting me in an abstract way.
Yeah.
Every single joke has a but.
Yeah.
And it usually involves people, because so much of comedy is about human interaction.
Yeah.
So, except that sometimes, kind of like going back to what Eli was saying about parody, things you like are going to be made fun of. That's okay.
Yeah. Like if it's not for you, or you don't like the way it sits with you, excuse yourself. Like, Artemis loves the movie Zoolander. I can't watch it. I can't fucking stand it.
But why male models?
It's like the movie. It's just Ben Stiller does such a good job being so stupid and cringy that I fucking can't watch it. It's just it hurts. I can't.
Gasoline fight.
I can't do it. I can't. It's just the wrong brand of stupid for me. So I just have to walk away. Like I've really tried to watch the movie like twice. I'm like I can't struggle through it. It just hurts me. Apparently Zoolander 2 sucked giant monkey balls though. Like
Sad.
yeah, Artemis is like because she loves the first Zoolander. She's like I couldn't.
Oh, it's a banger.
The second one's awful. It's like
Yeah.
rip. All right, so the last thing on this list is when you just shut up and enjoy when shit goes absolutely bombastically bonkers. Like again, same rules apply, regarding like story critique and whatnot. But if you're trying to apply laws of like realism and emotional grounding and some of that shit to something that is so crazily outside of our norm, stop. Easy example, Doctor Who. Doctor Who is batshit. Like, I mean, for fuck's sake, his whole fundamental thing about traveling is that he's got a fucking box of holding. It's bigger on the inside. It just straight up from the start we defy physics. Fuck that. Like you are working with literal alien nonsense technology. He's got the weirdest multi-purpose tool in history because why not? Yeah, he just points at it and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Because
that's what I value in tools.
Yeah, because things are quote unquote dead bolted, whatever the fuck that actually means. Like he's got an enemy that's a big salt shaker with a slug inside of it. So, I mean, it's the Daleks.
That knows one word.
Exterminate. Yeah. Like, like if you want to say that you think some of the character interactions are stupid or that the doctor, like the actor playing him does a shit job and he's not convincing, fine. Whatever. If you
matter of preference.
Like, if you want to criticize the actors or like some nonsense with the cinematography, whatever. But if you're gonna go like the math doesn't check out, well, no shit. Like
again, space,
like
time travel.
Again, literally, he's got a box that is bigger on the inside. It's literally infinite. Like there is an episode where they try to find the edges of the TARDIS because something has gone haywire with it, and they just get lost in it like it's a giant maze. It's not like it's a room or two. It's like a literal fucking city packed into a fucking phone booth. Like, please, by all means, explain. It's like trying to apply realism and physics to fucking Rick and Morty. It doesn't work, Chief. Like, that's one of the founding principles of the show is that they just flip off physics. They just give it the finger out the gate, and they're completely like that has no power here. Your fucking bonds of like there's animated statues, bonkers aliens, time travel, multiple realities. Fuck you, fuck your math, fuck your physics. Like, if that's your criticism, you need to find a different show and a different genre. Like, because you missed the memo and you are nitpicking the wrong things. If you want to say that Rose is a terrible companion or that Eccleston wasn't really a great doctor, that's a fair criticism. But time travel doesn't work because take off your glasses so I can slap you.
From one nerd to another,
Yeah,
I know how much those cost.
Yeah, you said those are expensive and you need to see. I respect that. But take them off so I can slap you for being a tool.
You should also have a red handprint on your face.
Yeah, like if you're gonna be a dick, I'm gonna slap you. Like it's just straight up, just. Yeah. Don't be stupid.
All right. Well, I try to calm down my co-host here and rub some some ointment on that slap on my face. We're gonna send it to our ad break. We'll be right back in a minute.
ever wondered, man, how bad can things really get in society and still be, yeah, fairly functional? I mean, if you've been there on your bad days, I recommend you indulge that sense of misery and desire for absolute suffering that comes from dystopian settings. Instead of simply hearing about economic inequalities, you can watch it play out on screen and, really pretend that that isn't you and your boss and your boss's boss or those people in Congress. You can look at things like Mad Max and Desertification and go, man, isn't this fun to watch play out and think about the crazy desert storms, bandits and raiders. Because we're never gonna get there. We can adjust our trajectory. We can fix our problems. Right? Right, guys?
Welcome back. Hope you didn't get lost in the turnstiles. Quick, say something. I'm floundering.
I'm just enjoying the show. Get my popcorn. Hum. All right.
So, what you been watching recently?
I have lapsed back into a show that I thought I was gonna let go, with Bungo Stray Dogs. Um, it's very much popcorn anime. It's just kind of silly. You don't feel. I kind of fell out of favor of the show because I watched the first like 3 seasons, then I started the fourth. I was like, eh. So I was starting to lose a sense of stakes for the characters, and then season 4 picked the fuck up. I was like, wow, steaks. That's fucking meaty, juicy steaks. And it is fun to just watch. It's a fun visual spectacle, and it's got some kind of goofy detective whodunit shenanigans that happens every now and again, which I enjoy. So it's if you want something kind of fun and schlocky, Bungo Stray Dogs it's a fun watch.
Right on. Speaking of lapsing into things recently, I found myself kind of going down a small community rabbit hole. For those of you that don't know, I'm not talking about my local community. I'm talking about the show Community, produced by Dan Harmon. Hot damn. The show is just so fucking good. Has aged surprisingly decently, even though there are some Dan Harmon aggressively, kind of around the social periphery acceptableness moments. It's still it slaps. It's just so good. Big fan. I think you can probably stop watching after it goes to Amazon personally, or not Amazon. Was it AOL? It went to somewhere weird. Either which way, you can find all of it, I think, on Netflix at this point. And holy crap, it's so fucking good. The music, the writing, it's busted. That is probably something that for people that haven't watched it that are like big fans of like writing and like they're thinking about getting into it, that I think that's like one of the better shows to watch for like writing. To be able to write so much, like you have what, 7 characters on the main cast, right?
Yeah.
And to be able to write for all of them, while like each character has a moment in the episode. There's very few episodes that are about one character. Most of them, each character kind of has their own arc, has their own story circle. It's fucking incredible. And the jokes are great, and it's all done in like they're 20-minute episodes. It moves. And it moves you too. There's a lot of great heartbreaking moments in these while still being entertaining and paying crazy amount of homage to film properties and TV shows over the years. Cannot recommend it enough. Takes a couple episodes to get into. I would say give it like 2 or 3 episodes, and then it really starts to take off. And season 2 is just busted.
I think seasons like 1, 2, and 3 are outstanding.
It's 4 is the gas leak year, right?
4 is the gas leak, and then like 5 and 6 are just not as good.
I think 5 is great. I like 5 a lot. 5 is the one with yeah, I think it's 6 where I start to jump ship. But five, I think one, two, three, and five are great. Four and six are kind of mid, but they're still like we're saying they're mid. They're still better than a lot of TV shows. So if you fuck with the show enough, I think it's still worth it. But
Yeah.
either which way, as it would seem, as it would seem, my co-host does not have any game or music rec, so I'll just drop mine on the factory floor as we make our way out.
I've just been balls deep in Path of Exile, man. It's a problem.
I won't tell your wife.
She knows.
Why do you think she's across the seas?
Why do you think she left?
So, I love the band Joywave. Big fan. They did a album, like they like co-authored isn't right. Co-played. What would the correct term be for when you make an album with another band?
I think it's a joint album. I don't know.
Okay, they made a joint album. There you go, with the band Best Friends, Frenz. It's called The Mall. It's a really fun idea for an album. The album itself is kind of whatever to me. It's more of a each song is about a place you would find in the mall. It's kind of cool. The way it starts and ends is if you're entering the mall. It's a very fun concept album. Big fan of the like attempt and the idea. Execution, eh. However, got a banger in The Carousel by Best Friends and Joywave. Would highly recommend that track. It slaps. And not to slap you in the face for a Doctor Who reference or quibble, but to kick you out the door, that is our episode. So thank you for tuning in. And if you enjoyed this, please feel free to
Like,
comment,
share,
and subscribe.
but don't forget, new episodes of Super Pros Bros come out the first and third Saturday of every month. Bye.